Welcome to Coding in Style, a series of short videos about how to write better code. Today we are talking about naming, and we are talking here at Niagara Falls. How would you name Niagara Falls if you were here the first time and it had no name? So I'll give you 3 seconds. Okay, so what did you come up with? How would you have named it? Honestly, if it was for me, I would have called it the Big Falls. But that wouldn't have been a good name because there are many big falls in the world. So the people that named the falls were smarter than me and they gave it a beautiful name because Niagara comes from Oniagara, which means point of land cut in two. Not only that, but after a while the English-speaking people came around and noticed that it's not one of them, but actually 3 falls. So they called other people to name it. So they called 2 programmers and 1 non-programmer. The 2 programmers look at them and they said, okay, so the first one, it looks like a U, and we came here by horse, so let's call it Horseshoe Falls. Okay, that's a good name. It looks like the shape of the fall, so it's a good name. And the other one, they looked and said, oh, that's on the American side, so let's call it American Falls. Okay, so it's obvious. And then they notice, oops, there's another small one, so let's call another guy. So that guy called it Bridal Veil Falls. How about that? Bridal Veil Falls. I wonder where she came with that idea. Maybe he just went to a wedding and the bride had a nice veil over her face or something, and then he thought, oh, I wish to see if the bride is beautiful or not, so I wish her veil would fall. So when they asked him, he said, Bridal Veil Falls Dreaming, right? So the guy said, oh yeah, that's a good name. Exactly, yeah, let's name it like that, okay? So maybe that's how it came. Now anyway, let's go back to programming. So this video is about the common rules of naming entities in general. In the next few videos, we'll concentrate more on variables, constants, function, method, and classes. So let's proceed. First rule when naming a variable or constants or anything else is you don't need to be cheap. So nowadays you can use the names as long as you think they are fit. So let's say we have a variable that's score before the first user logged in. We can name it just like that. Anything shorter might not be clear enough. Let's say before score or first user score or things like that. Wouldn't make it clear. Here are a few examples of long names of functions that already exist. So this one is a transition from view controller. So the signature is transition from view controller to view controller, duration, options, animation, and completion. This makes it clear what each variable stands for, each parameter stands for, also makes it clear what this function does. Here is another example which represents one image. So you see each parameter has its own specific role. So we have width, height, bits per component, bits per pixel, bits per row, and so on and so forth. One rule is that you should be very clear when you give a name. So here are some examples of bad variables. Name, car, found, ijk. So the name, what is the name? Name of the person, name of the car maybe, name of a city. The car, what does it mean? It's an object, it's a car name, it's a car model. Found, we assume this is a Boolean value, but found what? What it is representing. Also ijk, we use them as index. They are not always very clear what they represent. So a good replacement for them would be, for example, for the name, client name. We know exactly what it is. For the car, car model. So it's the model of the car. User found. So we realize right away that we use this variable to find the user, and if the user is found, this variable will become true. And the same for the indexes. If you have a matrix or an array, IJK might be confusing, but if you use first index or second index, then it's clear what they mean. Name the variable in such a way that there's no need for a comment. Here is a bad example. So we have the name, but we add a comment, name of the client. But this comment won't be seen anywhere except at this line. So if another function is using this, the developer looking at it won't know what it is. So instead of adding a comment, just move the comment into the name. So for example, rename this variable as client name. Don't use abbreviations. So even if they might be clear for you, they are not clear for anybody else who's reading the code. So let's say this example, BNKVLDUSR. If a new user or new programmer is looking at the code, they'll have no idea what it is. So a good replacement for this would be bank valued user. What do you think? What are the rules you apply when naming a variable? You can send it back either as a comment to this video, or you can send a message by the website adelante.ca. By the way, the website name adelante.ca is not a good choice because it means nothing for almost anybody except me. But now it's too late. Okay, so send a message and see you next video. Thank you.